Dr. Shastri, thousands of years ago, there was no brain scanner, no neuroscience laboratories, no EEG machine, no MRI technology. And yet, ancient yogis repeatedly emphasized one thing: the breath. Why? What did they know that modern students have forgotten?
It's an important research question, because when I first began my research studying mathematics, anxiety, and student performance, I was not searching for answers in ancient yoga. I was searching answers in modern science, working memory, cognition, attention, learning psychology, and academic performance. But something interesting kept appearing. Whenever researchers studied stress, breathing appeared. Whenever researchers studied attention, breathing appeared. And whenever they studied emotional regulation, breathing appeared. It was as though breath was quietly sitting in the background of every important conversation about human performance. And then I realized something. Perhaps the ancient yogis were not being mystical. Perhaps they were being observant.
Can you explain this in a way student can understand?
All right. You imagine your attention is a torchlight. Wherever the torch shines, you see clearly. Where it doesn't shine, information disappears into darkness. Now, think about class 11, 12, class 10 students solving mathematics. The torchlight must stay on the problem. But what happens during anxiety? Part of the torch moves towards fear. Part of the torch moves towards worry. And another part moves toward future consequences. Maybe another part moves toward comparison. The light becomes completely scattered. And scattered attention creates scattered performance. One of the reasons breathing is so interesting is because it influences where that torchlight goes.
What is happening inside the brain during this process?
Let me explain. See, let's imagine a busy Indian city. Traffic everywhere. Cars, bikes, buses, signals. Now imagine every signal stops working. Chaos appears. Not because the roads disappeared, but because coordination disappeared. The brain functions similarly. Learning requires coordination, attention, memory, decision making, emotional control. These systems must work together. When stress increases excessively, coordination becomes harder. And this is where breathing becomes important, because breathing influences the state in which these systems operate.
Often parents say, my child studies for hours but remembers very little. Why does this happen?
Because learning is not measured only by time spent. Learning is measured by quality of attention. You just think about this. Two students can sit with a textbook for 2 hours. One learns deeply. The other learns very little. Why? Because attention determines what enters into the memory. And attention depends heavily on the state of the learner. This is why some students finish studying and realize, I read the page, but I don't remember anything. Their eyes were reading. Their attention was somewhere else.
So, can you explain what ancient yogis discovered?
They discovered something remarkably practical. The mind and breath move together. Observe yourself. When angry, obviously breath changes. When afraid, breath changes. When excited, breathing changes. When you are peaceful, breathing changes. the yogis noticed this relationship. Then they might have asked an intelligent question. If emotions can influence breathing, can breathing influence emotions? That simple question eventually gave birth to pranayama, Kapalbhati, Nadi Shodhana, Brahmari, so many. And today, modern science continues exploring the same relationship.
How does this all connect back to mathematics?
Mathematics, alright. So, because mathematics is not performed by formulas, mathematics is performed by brain, and the quality of that brain state influences performance. Think about a musician. The instrument matters, but the condition of the musician matters too. Similarly, mathematical knowledge or mathematical formula matters, but the condition of the learner matters too. The challenge is that schools mostly teach the instrument, very few teach students how to prepare the performer. That is one of the biggest reasons BreathMath exists.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Imagine two class 12 students preparing for the same board examination. Same syllabus, same school, same teacher, same coaching, let us say. One student enters the exam mentally scattered, the other enters mentally composed. Who has the advantage? Most people say the smarter student has the advantage. I disagree. The student who can access their intelligence most effectively has the advantage. And access depends on mental state. That distinction changes everything in the research.
What should parents take away from today's conversation?
Parents often focus on what children are learning. I would encourage them also to focus on how children are learning. Are they rested? Are they emotionally balanced? Can they concentrate? Can they sustain attention? Because these factors silently influence academic success. And the beautiful thing is that many of these things can be improved. That's why BreathMath exists.
Yes. So before we finish, what is the next mystery we are going to explore?
See, today we discussed why breathing matters, but we still haven't answered a critical question. If breathing influences learning, which breathing methods are most useful for students, specifically 8, 10, 11, 12? Should all breathing practices be used before studying? Are some techniques better for focus, some for relaxation, some for examination performance? And can the wrong breathing habits actually reduce learning efficiency? In our next episode, we move from theory to application. I will introduce the BreathMath student breathing protocol, a simple system designed specifically for students, and we will explore how different breathing patterns may influence different learning situations. Practically, you imagine discovering that the most powerful study tool was never in your school bag. It was with you every moment of your life, hidden in plain sight. And you have been using it since the day you were born. The question is, have you been using it consciously? Let's find out in the next episode. Breathe Math.